Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like, bringing you another video in the US Mint and Moonlight Mint Peace Dollar series. This time, part 6, where we're going to cover the 1934 and 1935 issues from the US Mint. So, if this is the first time that you're watching, that's what we're going to cover 34 and 35. But um, hopefully, you go back and watch some of the other ones. And if you have watched the other ones, thank you for coming back and watching part 6. Just to recap, part 1, I did an overview of the peace dollar. Part 2 was the series of Moonlight Mint that covered from 1917 through 1920, and then both the Moonlight Mint and U.S. Mint 1921 products. Then in part 3, we covered 22 through 24, 1922 through 1924. Part 4, we covered 25 and 26. Part 5, we covered 27 and 28, which had a lot of key dates. And now we're going to jump ahead to 34 and 35. Now, notice this gap here. This was the end of the Pittman Act in 1928, which legislatively created the order to mint silver dollars to replace the ones that were melted during the war years. So the Pittman Act covered basically 1921 through 1928. Pittman Act ended, then the Depression happened, so there wasn't anything until 34 and 35 when U.S. Mint resumed minting silver dollars for those years. So that's what we're going to be covering, and just a few preliminary slides before we get into actually showing some of the examples from my collection. The first one is this very busy slide that I introduced in the part 5, which is essentially all the U.S. Mint products, including the modern ones and the 64 that was completely melted, purportedly. But what I did is I have the mintage for every issue, but more importantly to collectors now is what is the estimated survival, both overall, all grades, and the estimated survival in MS state, 60 or higher. Now, these are from PCGS. I could have put one more line in here, estimated survival in 65 or higher, but that's out of my collection interest for my personal peace dollar series, where I was looking to have mint state between 61 and 63 was my goal in putting this together. But this, you can look at it in more detail later, but the reason I put it up is to highlight the lowest survival in mint state, which last time included 3 out of the 5 issues in that 27 to 28 period. 3 out of the 5 were the lowest 5 survival rate in MS. And the only others are the 24S and this one, the 34S, which is in this period that we're going to cover in this video, 34 to 35S. And this one is the lowest survival rate in MS. All right, so it's also the lowest overall survival rate in any grade. So this is the key date of the series, the key date. Now there's all of these can be considered semi-key because of the lower survival rate in MS, but this one is the lowest, so it is the key. Also in this series, 34 to 35S that we're covering in this video, there's a couple of others that are not in the lowest five, but they're fairly low. You can see 25,000 here, and the 28 is similar, and 30,000. There's a few others that are 30,000. This one, the 28S, is a little bit lower. So there's some semi-keys in here, but this one here is the key date. The other reason I put this slide in is also to demonstrate the highest five by the PCGS price guide that it will cost to get in MS62. This is the PCGS price guide, top 5 in MS62 to obtain, and the highest is again the 34S, which is in this series that we'll be talking about. So that's the most expensive, followed by these others that are highlighted here. So that's one set of preliminaries to sort of give you context on availability and what's surviving for collectors to add to their collection. Other preliminary slides, just to highlight, this is the for this period 34 and 35. They use a low relief obverse. They use a low relief reverse, which you can see this is three rays, and this is 4 rays below the 1 for the high relief in 1921. But everything else had 3 rays that's the low relief. They're also all the reverse B2. There was a mixture in 1922 of reverse B1, which has to do with the olive branch contacting the talons, as well as the number of mountains here, 3 versus 2. But all the 34 or 35s had a reverse B2. Now, I'm going to come back to this. I said all the low reliefs, including the 34 and 35 period, had 3 rays below 1 on that reverse, the low relief reverse, except for some silly folks in San Francisco in 1935 that produced an extra ray. So we'll get into this when we go over the coin, but there are 3 different VAMs, 3, 4, and 6, that have an extra ray, 4 rays below 1, even though they're low relief reverses. Let's get into it, but remember, in this series, for the first time, as I'm doing the series, I'm pulling these coins out and actually looking for VAMs. I hadn't done that previously. Don't know why, but I hadn't. And so far, in the video series, I've found 5 top 50 VAMs. 5 top 50 VAMs in my collection as I've gone through it. And I've found other really nice VAMs as well, but 5 top 50. So as we go through my collection from in the 1934-1935 period, we're going to be looking for some VAMs as well. So let's get on with it. All right, the first one, 1934. This is from Philadelphia. No mint mark, of course. This is an MS62 example. It's nice and bright. It's actually pretty nice for MS62. This original mintage was just under 1 million. There's 60,000 that survive and 35,000 in MS60 plus. So sort of low, not the lowest, not certainly not the lowest 5 in in MS condition. Now this one here, this is a lean year for VAMs. There's only VAM 1A through 1J. And this one here did not fit any of the A through J, so it's a VAM 1, but it's that's just your basic dies. However, this one here has what appears to be doubling in the date. It's not robust. It's a very narrow doubling, but in the 1 there's notching here, and in the 9 you can sort of see a little notch here cut with a little furrow coming up in here. The 3 you can sort of see here, a little bit under here and here. The 3 is a little less evident, but the designer's initial, there's a notch here in the 4. There's also a little bit of furrowing up here to suggest that there is a doubling in the date. Now, there is no double die obverse listed for 1934, perhaps because this is so minor. Nevertheless, that's what I found on this one, but it wouldn't, unless I tried to go through the process of seeing if it's a new VAM, which I'm not going to do. It's a VAM 1. Next one, 1934D, had over 1.5 million initially minted, 130,000 estimated survival in all grades, 30,000 survive in MS condition. This is another 62. It looks like a 62. It's not quite as nice as the 62 from Philadelphia that I have in my collection, but it's nice and bright, and I'm happy to have it. So this one here, again, a low estimated survival in MS60. Not quite in the lowest 5 of the whole series, but it's fairly low. This one here is a VAM 8. I was really happy to see this one. It's not a top 50, but it's a nice VAM 8 with doubling of the leg feathers, as you can see here. So doubling here, there, there, there. You can see doubling there. So this one, they say you also can see some doubling in the olive branch, and there's a little bit of doubling in here. It's a little bit more difficult to see than on the leg feathers, but in the olive branch, you can see a little bit of doubling, and it has a medium-sized D that has a filled mint mark. Now, not all of VAM 8s have the filled mint mark. This means it's a little bit later die state, but this one has a filled mint mark, doubled leg feathers, and a little bit of doubling of that olive branch. VAM 8, it's a nice one, not top 50, but it's certainly, I'm happy to have found it. 1934S. So this is the key date. Notice it's the only specimen, U.S. mint specimen in my collection that is not MS. It's an AU58, but it's a really nice AU58. I mean, it has a little bit of wear here, a little bit in the hair. It's an AU58, but it's a really nice example, in my opinion. This one here costs 3 times more than the next highest coin in my collection. And in some of the common dates, this is 20 times or more expensive than the common dates that I have in my collection that are again MS 61 to 63. So the mintage was 1 million. Estimated survival in all grades is only 35,000. And the estimated survival in mint state is 4,500. So I looked around. I don't know why so few um, are remain or survive. Perhaps Laverne Redfield has, besides what he had in his basement, maybe he's got a hoard of these buried somewhere. Um, that's just a joke. I don't know. But very low survival rate in MS. I'm really happy to have this. This is a nice AU58 example. Now, when I look at this one for VAMs, it's a top 50. So this is the sixth top 50 that I've found in my collection doing this video series. This is a VAM3, which is a double tiara. So you can see it. It's just as an aside, when you're looking for VAMs, when you're looking for doubling and so forth, it's better to do it with loops. Have a good light source that you can manipulate the coin relative to the light source and use your loops, because then you can get the light more tangential. You can get the light just right. Whereas doing it under a scope is not nearly as good at finding some of the doubling and some of these VAMs. So this one here sort of demonstrates it. I tried to get the light just right, and you can pick up doubling here with one set of light conditions and doubling here with another set of light conditions, but you can't pick them all up because the light's not hitting them quite right. But there is doubling here. Here, it's on the right side of the rays here. It's also here, but then we're getting into the light issues. But nevertheless, it is a VAM3, double tiara rays, and top 50. The other thing about this VAM is they say you can see a little bit of doubling in some of the hair strands or the hair locks on the far right. And this is, just to give you reference, this is a Liberty, and these are the lower right hand extending individual hair locks. And you can see notching, and it's hard to get the light just right, notching with a little doubling in here. So there's some doubling in the hair, not quite as robust as what you see in the tiara. This one happens to also have a nice die crack extending from about just to the left of Y across and through the pterygium cap right here. So they're a very nice one to have in the collection, particularly a top 50 with the key date of the series of 34S. Moving to 1935 with the Philadelphia, another 62. Again, this is a 62, nice and bright, but a 62 condition. This one here, again, over 1.5 million, minted 140,000, remain in all grades, and 40,000 in 60 plus. This one's a 62. And looking at the VAMs, this one is a VAM 1G. VAM 1G, which is a line above the mountains, which is essentially a die gouge that went on to over the field, the surface of the die, but not down into the relief portions of the die. So this is the line above the mountains. The other markers for this VAM 1G include this die gouge or die scratch across the M here. You can see extending out this way, but it's present across the M right here. Almost looks like a little doubling inside the beak of the eagle, but this is a marker. Another marker is the 5. There is a horizontal bar-like die gouge in the 5 on the obverse. So VAM 1G. The last one in the series, 35S. 1935S had close to 2 million originally minted. Pardon me. 100,000 of these survive in all grades, only 25,000 in MS60 or higher. So a lot minted, a fair amount went into circulation evidently, which lends to a lower number existing in MS60 or higher. So this one here is a 63. This one actually I purchased as a PCGS and crossed it to Annex because if you haven't noticed, the whole collection is in Annex, which is something I also wanted to do. That was another target for my collection is MS61 to 63 Annex holders for my U.S. Mint Peace Dollar collection, as opposed to my Ikes, which are all PCGS, as opposed to my Carson City dollars, which are all PCGS. These are Annex. So I crossed this one over. It was a 63. I got a 63 at Annex, and I got the attribution of a VAM 3B, which is a 4 raise. So this one is, again, remember, VAM 3, VAM 4, VAM 6 of 1935S all have 4 rays, whereas every other low relief mint U.S. Mint product from 1922 to 1935 has only 3 rays below 1. This one has 4. So it has 4 rays, but what gives it the B part is that it has this bar-like die gouge extending from the pterygium cap up between the R and the T, and has a narrower, a lighter die gouge between the B and E, between these 2 rays. So there you have it. There's the VAM 3B, which I'm happy to have in my collection. It's not a top 50, but it's a cool VAM because of the 4 rays. So to summarize, I added another top 50, bringing the total of 6, and now we have completed in the video series the entire U.S. Mint production in this period, what I'll call the classic period of 1921 through 1935. Now, you might ask again, those top 50 VAMs, do they carry a premium above the same grade for that year and date? And the answer is yes, to varying degrees. So this is, according to the PCGS price guide, the premium of that particular top 50 VAM over the same grade. So MS61 VAM 3 is $325, value $125 above of MS61 without a VAM 3 in 1921. So these are essentially the premiums that those top 50 VAMs bring. And this one here from this series is about $100 bump or premium over the same grade. And this extends into the MS as well. So these are all, as I said, all these top 50s are not attributed. They're not on the label as a top 50 VAM. And I'm considering sending them, these 6, back to Annex to reholder and attribute. Now, the cost of that would be a reholder fee, which is $15, the attribution fee, which is $14, the shipping My cost of shipping two would be about $1.50 per coin if I group all six together. And the shipping back, which Annex charges, is about $6 per coin, assuming all six are sent. So it's about $36.50 to send these back and get the attribution and top 50 on the holder. So $36.50 per coin. So I would, I'd make up the costs here, here, and here, barely here, and I'd be underwater here. But as a whole, I'd be increasing the value of those coins um, above what it would cost for me to send it back in. So I probably will send all six of these back in, even though I'll be underwater with these two. I'll make it up with these two in particular. So that's it for this video. But next time, I want you to come back. We're going to do part 7, where we're going to cover the Moonlight Mint, filling in these dates between the end of the Pittman Act and when the U.S. Mint resumed 34 and 35, and also into 36. So Dan Carr at the Moonlight Mint has now completed a 20 coin, or actually not 20 coins because there's multiple mint marks, but 20-year run between 1917 and 1936, using both Moonlight Mint, filling in the gap for the U.S. Mint when the U.S. Mint was not producing peace dollars. So we'll come back and talk about these next time. This time, I'll just say thank you for watching, and remember, buy stuff you like, but be smart about what you buy. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.